Have you ever had a time in your life when you thought about perhaps writing a children's book? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today on Motivation. I'm Ron Henderson, aka the Fitness King. We'll be right back with Motivation.
Hi, this is Mark Rosen from WCCO TV, and it's my pleasure to introduce my good friend Ron Henderson, the Fitness King.
Hi, I'm Ron Henderson, aka the Fitness King, and welcome back to Motivation. I'm excited today. I have my guest, Lisa Sellman, on today's Motivation. Welcome to Motivation, Lisa.
Thank you so much. I'm doing very well today. Thank you.
I'm excited. Lisa is an author. She's written several children's books, and as a writer myself, I always like it, and I always try to encourage people to write. So today we're going to be talking about your latest book, which is Dreamcatchers, right?
Yes. It's called The First Dreamcatcher.
Okay, The First Dreamcatcher. Okay, I'm the first Fitness King. This is the first Dreamcatcher. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Why did you actually decide to write Dreamcatchers first?
Well, I like writing Native American animal totem stories. I grew up near a reservation in South Dakota,
okay. Mm-hmm.
And I'm always really drawn to the Native American tales. And so my first book was a Native American story about the wolves up in Gunflint Lake up in northern Minnesota. And I wrote other stories also, and this story is a Native American story about the first Dreamcatcher.
Right, okay, now let's back up. Now you said your first book. Now, when I introduced you, I said that, and the audience knows now, you're an author, but what was the first book actually about? Let's talk about that first.
Well, it actually, I have put on about 20 dog lovers retreats up at Gunflint Lodge in northern Minnesota. And they were all fundraising events for local dog charities.
Okay.
And I have a dog training business myself.
Okay.
And I wanted to give a gift to Bruce Kerfoot, the owner of Gunflint Lodge. But what do you give a guy that has everything?
Right, okay.
So I wrote him a story, and I put on Facebook, does anybody have an artist that could draw some pictures for me? And I met the artist on a Monday, and he had the pictures back on Wednesday.
And how long ago was that? How many years ago was that?
3 years ago. And so I put it together like a Kodak picture book with the pictures and everything. And I gave it to Bruce at Christmas, and he loved it so much he said I should publish it. Okay. So I submitted it in and got it published, and I still get royalty checks from it.
Really?
And I just
but
got...
you had pictures. Was there a storyline with it?
Oh, yeah, it was pictures and a storyline about the wolves that are up there at Gunflint.
Okay, now, for kids?
For kids, yeah.
Okay.
It was a story about community and respecting our elders, and it was a nice story. So, and many kids have wrote said it's one of their favorite stories. So.
Well received.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Okay, and while we're talking about that book, is that book still available to purchase?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
it's
where can they
actually
get
on
that?
my website at lisasellman.com. LISASELLMAN.com. And you go on there, and it says learn more about me, and then you come to Dreamcatcher Press, and it has the 2 books.
Okay, so that was 3 years ago.
Yep.
Okay. Now, folks at home, I'm always talking about writing a book. I'm always trying to encourage people to write a book because I believe that there's a book inside of everybody. I believe that. In fact, I met Lisa's husband today, and I said, are you a writer too? Because immediately when I meet people, I want to encourage people to write. Okay, so that was 3 years ago. So, what happened? You got a book? Show them a copy. Just show them.
Yes. This is my book that's coming out December 19th, The First Dreamcatcher. And I have to wait that long until I get it back from the printers. But I actually was, for the 3 years between these 2 books, I had completed this one. And I was not really sure about publishing again because I didn't make a whole lot of money on it.
Sure, it's not about money though.
But, that's what my husband told me, because I was thinking that everything you do kind of had to be profitable and easy.
No.
And he said, he goes, well, just do it. Who cares, you know?
Exactly.
And I actually was thinking I had to start all over the process, and I was cleaning my office one day, and I found a letter from Beaver Pond Press, and I thought it was a rejection letter because there were a lot of corrections on it, and it actually was an admittance letter.
Wow, that's impressive.
So I called Beaver Pond and I said, About a year ago, you sent me this letter. Could we still pick up on it? And they said, oh, sure, we love that story. So I started with Beaver Pond in June of this year, and then
Good for you.
it takes about 6 months for your children's book to be from publisher to printer.
Right, okay, and the title, Dreamcatcher, how did you come up with the title, per se?
Well, a dreamcatcher is a Native American symbol of it's supposed to take out the bad dreams, and your good dreams go through the web.
Okay, well, how do you do it? Because I had a bad dream last night. I had a bad dream last night.
Well, you have to have a dream catcher
For 2
over your
hours.
bed.
2 hours it was a bad dream.
You have a dream catcher over your bed, and it's just a Native American.
Well, how do I
story.
get a dream catcher? Come on now, help me now.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm motivation,
actually,
you know.
if you come to any of my book signings, I'm going to be selling little $5 kits from
Okay.
Tandy Leather to make your own dream catcher.
Okay, so you're going to show people how to do it.
Yes, I am.
Sounds
And,
good. Now, is that what you're wearing around your neck? Is that a
That's
dream
what I'm
catcher?
wearing right now is a
Okay.
dream catcher. My husband bought this for me in Yellowstone.
Okay.
So, but these are what dream catchers are, and I have little kits that I'll be selling with the book.
Yep.
So,
Okay. And what age group is this for?
it's actually for all ages because it's a story of, it's kind of like a story where a grandfather would read to a grandchild.
Okay.
So all adults can have it in all ages of children because it's all about finding your purpose,
Right.
changing the world,
Right.
doing marvelous things in life.
Sure.
And so it's really inspirational for anyone.
Okay, so it's kind of like motivation then, right?
It's motivation. It's motivation.
Motivating people
David.
to do better than what they think they
Yeah.
can do. And what was your purpose behind, writing the book? I mean, the real purpose.
Well,
the
it
deep-seated
kind
purpose.
of is a little bit of a healing book for myself too,
Okay.
because I came from a alcoholic family,
Okay.
and my brother and sister are 6 and 8 years older than me, and there was a lot of negativity in the family,
Okay.
and it was hard for me as a kid growing up in that because I was a pretty happy kid,
Yep.
but at home I always felt like I would
Okay.
be sad, and I just didn't know what was going on all
Sure.
the time. And so the book is kind of about Webster being his own being and doing his own thing and not worrying about anybody around him.
Right.
And we call it empath if you are a person
Sure.
that is
Empathic.
or very compassionate to other people.
Right.
You kind of feel other people's pain.
Oh, yeah.
And I always felt my family's pain, and I couldn't be my own
Right.
shining
Yeah,
light.
yeah.
So the story is about Webster, a sensitive spider who finds his own shining light and changes the world.
Now, most spiders scare most people. I don't like spiders, and I'm an
Well,
adult. So is this
this-
like a friendly spider now, Lisa?
These are the cutest spiders I've
Okay.
ever had. They have little backpacks, they have little baseball caps,
I like
they
that.
got little pigtails. They're
I like
very
that.
cute little
I like
spiders.
That. I like
so,
that. I like that.
so
I like that. And the book will be available, you said, what, in a month? or something?
it's at the printers right now. And I have my book signings. I have 3 so far, but I would love to have all year filled
Sure.
up. So I'm just starting on the calling around and scheduling
Right.
it. But what's really fun is that the book is about, being of service too.
Right.
And so all of my book signings are going to be of service to Sharing and Caring Hands,
Okay.
which is a homeless shelter downtown.
Sure. And why did you pick, I know about them, but why did you pick them?
I wanted my funds to go locally. And I'm kind of passionate about homeless people because I see them so often,
Sure. Right.
And I know how difficult it is. I was mentioning to you that I lived near your studio, or lived at one time near your studio.
Yes.
Well, I was a caretaker at the apartment building, and they decided to take back the people that had just left.
Right.
And I was only there a month,
Okay.
and I was kicked out. And back
Sure.
then, 20 years ago, it was very difficult to find another apartment
Right.
because I was in college. I didn't have credit,
Sure.
stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, sure.
And I was homeless. But I actually didn't become homeless because I told my mom I needed a place to stay. I didn't know what to
Right.
do. And we bought a house.
Yep.
And it was easier to buy a house than get an apartment at that time. You know,
Right.
it kind of fluctuates.
Sure.
So I really have a lot of sympathy for homeless people because I know how things can happen.
Right.
And you can be in this bad situation
Sure.
and you just can't do anything about it.
Right. So Lisa, how did you go from Ron Henderson, The Fitness King, if you just tuned into Motivation with my guest, Lisa Sellman? She's the author of her latest book, The First Dreamcatcher. So how did you go from, you were talking about even the hesitation of writing another book because you're thinking about it's all about making money. Now you go from the thought of it's all about making money to you want to give, which is, I love that attitude because I believe in giving 100%.
Well, you know, my first book that was about wolves, the proceeds went to the Ely Wolf Center.
Okay.
So I really I think that if you do something and you benefit other people,
Right.
it really goes well.
I agree.
But I was thinking with my book signings to have coat, mitten, hat, and scarf collections too.
Yeah.
And I've actually been talking about to the Mall of America about doing an event out there, which would be
Does
awesome.
that look like is it gonna happen? you think?
Well, what you have to do at the Mall of America is you submit an application.
Right.
And so
Have you
I've
submitted that?
I've
Okay.
submitted that, and I've spoken to them.
Okay.
But the big thing is, maybe I can ask you to do it, the MC. You know, you have to have an MC, you have
Right.
to have all this stuff going on,
Yeah.
so maybe I would speak to you more about that. But there's a lot of things to go on, but if they gave me a date, I would go for
Okay.
it.
Well, maybe after they've seen the show, maybe they'll do it. You never know.
Okay.
You never know. So you got Dreamcatcher. And you said for any age, basically. What has been your typical, when you say that most people are buying the book, at what age, generally speaking?
I think about
Average
8 years
age.
old. 8 years old. Well, 8 was kind of my age that I was just the happiest too,
Okay.
But 8 years old, because the book has bigger words sometimes, and 8-year-olds can
Sure,
understand that and stuff. But about 8 is a good
Okay.
age for
So
it.
Webster really is you then, huh?
I think so. It's
Okay.
about just being yourself and creating your life and not caring about other people, how they feel and judge, and just being who you are.
Right. So does the book starts a certain way? Has it like a happy type ending, basically?
Yes,
Without
it's a
giving the
very
story
happy
away?
ending.
Any other main characters in the book?
Not main characters. It's just Webster and the other spiders, and Webster's having kind of a hard time because the other spiders complain about the humans breaking the webs, or the flies getting away from their webs, and Webster's just happy all the time. And then Webster observes the human that he lives with is sad every morning, and so he creates his web for that human, and he's
Sounds exciting,
he's an excellent web spinner.
Okay.
But he was very bad when he was a kid at web spinning.
Yeah.
He actually had to take web spinning twice.
Interesting. Okay.
Before he became a webmaster.
Okay.
So.
And I know you talked about this briefly, but again, for the audience, for people watching, what is a totem story? When you talk about a totem story, what
a
is
totem
that?
story. So I actually would like to write one totem story a year at least.
Okay.
But a totem story is when you use the energy of the animal to idolize a trait that you would like. So
Give us an example.
For my wolf story, what the wolf energy or totem is a pack.
Yep.
So it's clan. It's being a part of a family.
Yeah.
So my wolf totem story that I did 3 years ago was all about listening to your elders, being a part of the family, taking care of each other.
Okay. So if you looked up Webster's, when we're talking about the spider, Webster's dictionary, the definition of totem would be what?
Energy.
Energy. Really.
Yeah. And well, it actually probably wouldn't be in there because it is a Native American word. But totem would be the, a beaver totem is a hard-working totem.
Right.
A bear totem is being very brave and strong.
Right.
That's a bear totem. So it's like if you think of the animal,
Sure.
you don't even need to be an expert. It's
Right.
you just think of the animal and you think of that image or energy that comes to your mind. That's
Right.
what a totem is.
Okay, now do you have kids, if I can ask? Do you have kids?
Oh, I don't have any children.
Okay.
No, we have dogs, but we are the favorite parents of the neighborhood.
Okay.
Kids are always over at our house to play with the dogs and things like that. So,
Any plans for the future for his writing again?
well, I actually have a book that's halfway done, and it's called Return to Siskiyou Bay,
Okay.
and it's about a moose totem, and it's Isle Royal, which is in Lake Superior,
Okay.
and there's 15 mammals that live on Isle Royal, because it's an island,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so there's 15 mammals,
Sure.
and the story has a 1-year-old moose, and she learns a totem lesson from each of the 15 mammals.
Okay.
And
All
it's a story for maybe 12, 13-year-olds. It's a little bit older story, but it's about halfway done right now, and I would
Okay.
like to finish that.
Wow, so you started 3 years ago and you're already, yeah.
So, but it's a very nice, nice story. Oh, and the next one that I would like to have done, it's a very nice story called Legends from the Great Spirit and Belly Buttons.
And belly buttons, interesting. Okay.
And what it's about, I wrote it after one of the mass shootings that we had had, and it's a story about breathing in and exhaling and letting go of any fear that you have. Because people are very different, and
Oh, yeah.
it's all about just being free. So the belly buttons is breathing in through your belly and out, out through your belly, and it's just about being one with
Right,
life and
right.
embracing all the differences.
Right.
But it's a very cute little story, and I actually, this summer, my husband and I went to Yellowstone, and a woman was painting in Yellowstone, a mountain scene,
Sure.
and it was just beautiful. And I went and I talked to her and asked her if she'd ever like to illustrate a book. She would like to illustrate the belly buttons story.
Okay.
So,
So you're making all kind of connections.
I know, so it's very fun. So she just wrote me again, and we're talking. She hasn't started any of the watercolors. She does watercolors. She hasn't started them yet, but she's going to.
But you're getting close. Let me ask you this question. For somebody sitting there watching right now and they're hearing about the first Dreamcatcher and they're hearing about your books, what could you say to somebody at home that might motivate them to actually grab that pen out and start writing? Because I do believe there's a book in everyone.
I really think it's a healing thing. If there's something
So speak to the people at home.
Okay, if there's something that's making you feel up in knots, get out a pen and just write, even if it's not for anybody else but for you. When you write and you let it go on paper, you get it out of your mind. And a lot of times that's what you need to do. So my stories, it always is kind of like letting it go and, getting it out onto the paper.
Right. How many hours did you have into the book? I mean, I've written books myself, but I want to find out. I like to find out from other people. What did it take you to get your, hours and hours?
Actually,
and did your husband, was he able to handle all that?
No. I never spent hours and hours because I am a professional dog trainer. I also have a pet care business. Plus, I'm a massage therapist. Plus, I like writing. But I don't spend hours and hours. It's kind of like when I have a story in my mind,
Right.
I just, this older story about the moose, I kind of spent a little bit more time
Right,
on that
right. Okay.
because I'm doing a little bit of history lesson on Isle Royal and stuff. So there's a little bit more time, but I still I'm not one of those people. I think that if you had your entire career as a writer,
Right.
you could lock yourself in your office
Sure.
and write all day or something, or
Right.
try to.
Yeah.
But because I see it more as my therapy.
I was going to say kind of a release. Right?
Yeah, my therapy,
Okay.
my fun.
Right.
I don't lock myself in there getting it done.
Right. So I think you're kind of a natural then.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
like doing it. But I also write for several I write for the Edge magazine, which is a local spiritual magazine,
yep.
and I've actually wrote articles for Dog Fancy and other magazines.
How do you have time to do it? I know the audience is saying, how does this woman have time to do
No,
that?
I just
I'm gonna call Rick in here and ask Rick, how do you have time?
I just
Poor husband. He's like, I need time. I'm your husband.
I like to kind of stay busy, and when I'm writing, I write on topics that really interest me too. So it's not like work. It's really fun and engaging. So.
Okay. When you were in high school, did you write at all in high school?
Yes, I wrote on the school newspaper.
Okay.
And I still remember some of my fun stories. Like there used to be this town about 20 miles away, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Sure.
I'm from
Oh,
Del Rapids. And we had a loop that we would drive the cars around. And I remember writing an article about the loop. And, I still remember a lot of the articles that I wrote.
Yep. So you got some kind of writing background, a little bit.
Yeah, well, I like being creative, and it's fun. And actually, for the Edge, I write a lot of poetry, too. So that's nice, too.
Now, have you marketed any of your poetry at all? Have you sold any?
I've never sold poetry. I guess I could try, but I've never sold poetry. But I should probably try because some of my poems are quite nice.
Right. Now I'm going to throw something at you that you didn't expect me to throw at you. Can you give me like one line from your book, from the first Dreamcatchers?
Oh,
Give me
okay.
one line. Kind of a
let me
pivotal line that has impact or something in there.
Well, one of my favorite little scenes from the book is when Webster creates the Dreamcatcher. And then he is gobbling up the bad dreams.
Yeah.
And I see him on the line there, and he's gobbling up the bad dreams. And then as the good dreams come through, they're going up through the Dreamcatcher. And that's kind of my favorite line, is that word gobble. I just like for a spider gobbling up bad dreams and stuff. So
snakes, no mice in there though. There's no mice in your rings.
no.
So what is what is the last thing I'm going to ask you about this is, what is the biggest fear that he has in the book?
It's not a fear so much as it's a suppressive negativity that other people put on him. Because spiders are, what I portrayed the spiders as being kind of a negative group, that they complained about the people sweeping them down. They complained if a fly got through, but Webster was always happy-go-lucky. And so he was forced to be in this negative group, and then he just kind of went off on his own and created the Dreamcatcher and followed his dreams.
And I know the audience is always going to want, what do you think, what was the thing that actually made Beaver Pond interested in your book? Because people are submitting, I have talked to people all the time, and they so.
It almost seems kind of magical in a way, because my books are all animal totem related. The name Beaver Pond Press is totally Minnesota. I felt so at ease when I went there. It was very relaxing and at ease. But to me, the Hannah is my publisher. Her name is Hannah. And she just said that it's a wonderful story with so many lessons for all ages. But there's several lessons throughout the story. So she was excited to do that. But yeah, they actually, they don't accept all books.
I know that.
But she was excited to do it. And then the big thing with my book, I got a illustrator. Well, normally you submit your book and then the publisher will help you find an illustrator. But I actually was going to self-publish my book, and I found an illustrator on my own.
And I was going to ask you about that, because a lot of people at home, you hear so much about self-publishing. So.
And so I found this illustrator on Facebook. She was a friend of a friend, and my friend posted a picture, thought it was phenomenal. She had done a picture of Prince back when Prince had passed away. And I thought she did wonderful work, and I just asked her if she would do it. And within a month or so, she had everything done. And then I submitted that with my words, and Beaver Pond Press just loved it.
And a question, because I know folks at home, again, they're having these kind of questions. They're saying, okay, they're thinking, I want to write a book, but people self-publish and you went with the publisher. Is there a reason why you didn't self-publish it?
Well, the one thing about...
And I'm asking you this, though, by the way, because I had a publisher for my first book. And I don't think I'd ever use a publisher again.
Oh, yeah. Well, the
So-
one thing about, I mean, everybody has to look at things differently,
Right.
but one of the things, if you go through, like, there's only 6 publishers left in the United States.
Yeah.
All of these publishing companies have merged together. And those publishing companies, you might get $1,000
Yep.
royalty check
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something, but then they might decide to take your book off.
Oh, yeah?
So you never know. But Beaver Pond Press, I own the book too, so I have control over everything, and I just feel really good with them.
Right. So why
but-
didn't you, again, asking you this correctly, why did you not self-publish? Just asking.
Oh,
For the people at home.
the one thing
For
about
you.
you can self-publish anytime you want, but you have to be very careful about getting it edited,
Oh, yeah?
getting it designed,
Oh, yeah?
doing everything so that it looks nice, because too many self-published books, people think they know how to do it
Oh, yeah.
without all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go through Beaver Pond, and I've seen so many of their books, and they're
Right.
lovely, lovely books. Whereas if you only look at self-published books, you know, through Amazon or
Right,
some of
right.
these companies, it is fine to do it on your own,
Right.
but just make sure to hire a designer,
Right.
hire an editor.
Oh, yeah. That's stuff you want to do automatic, I agree.
Yeah. Oh, but, well, we're saying automatically, but a lot of
You know,
people
might
don't.
think, you hear that, folks? You hear? You listen?
But people don't,
Right,
you know,
they
they
don't.
think they
Oh,
can
yeah.
do it.
I know.
And I was really surprised when I got the first Dreamcatcher back after it was edited, because they really changed a lot of things, because I had many times I would say and, you know, like have,
Sure.
I have a
Oh,
thought
sure.
and then you do
Sure.
and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they wanted it as 2 sentences,
Right,
or,
right.
you know, some of these things, but it made a big change,
Yeah.
but I really like how it's done.
Okay.
You know, so editing is very important for any self-published
Oh, yeah.
book.
Oh, yeah. And folks, and I think it's very important that you, again, remember what she's talking about. Pay attention to what she's saying, because if you're thinking about writing a book, these are things that you do want to know.
Yeah.
And everybody is totally different.
But what's interesting about it, though, you can get your book edited for $50, $200. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be a hugely
Right.
expensive endeavor. You could get a college student, or there's
Right.
many people that do it. So you don't have to
Right.
invest a huge amount of money, but it is time getting
is
all
time.
these steps done.
It is, and I'm going to say this too, with that, and I know some people who live in Minnesota who are multimillionaires, and I won't name their books, but they got mistakes in their books, and they're multimillionaires. So
Yeah.
it happens, and they're hiring the best editors, and they
Right.
still have mistakes.
Yep.
I feel like saying the name of the one guy's book, but I'm not going to. You know, so, but I think it's important that even you have it double checked and double checked and double checked.
Yes.
Double checked.
And even, you know, I didn't really go to this step because I was with Beaver Pond, but, you know, even giving it out to friends to
Right.
read,
Oh, yeah.
you know, that,
Right.
you know, not non-professionals is a good idea,
Right.
you know, have different things. But I know that with my first book, it's a Native American story, and as is the first Dreamcatcher. And people said to me, they go, oh, well, this isn't for kids, you know,
Right,
because
right.
it kind
Sure,
of was
they-
written in this
yeah,
Native
sure,
American
sure.
way. And I was just like, yes, it is, you know, and then but I felt really sad, and,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
that people were so insulting, because everybody has an opinion.
Everybody has an opinion.
Yeah,
That's right.
and but then now that I've gotten all the letters back from kids saying how much
Right.
they love it, and Facebook posts and things
Yeah,
like
good,
that,
good.
it really makes you feel good just going for it
I'm
and
sure it
doing it.
would. I'm sure. And do you have a website, because we're going to be
Yes,
closing shortly?
my website is lisasellman.com, LISASELLMAN.com.
Anything that you want to give out, numbers
Oh,
or
I would like
dates?
to tell the dates of the book signings. I have a book signing January 6th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Panera in Brooklyn Center. 20% of proceeds will go to Sharing and Caring Hands. I have a book signing January 7th at Good Day Cafe in Golden Valley from 6 to 8 p.m. and that's the big book release party. And then I have a book signing January 14th at Devani's in Brooklyn Center. I live in Brooklyn Center, so that's why I'm going to two of my favorite restaurants. And that one, too, it'll be a coat mitten, scarf, hat collection, and
Give away.
20% of proceeds will go to Sharing and Caring Hands.
Okay, sounds good. Folks, you've been watching Motivation, Ron Henderson, a.k.a. The Fitness King, with my lovely guest, Lisa Sellman, author of The First Dreamcatcher and other books. I'm going to thank you for watching Motivation. Until next time, and all that you do, stay fit, stay motivated, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.